Hello, my name is Daniel Scuria-Herman, and today I will be speaking on the topic of translations. Now, I have a list of video ideas, and I was looking through it because I was thinking of talking about energy drinks or free and direct style or something, but I wanted to look at this video list again, and one of the ideas, I saw a lot of ideas that I'm going to get to eventually, like race as an adjective, identity, pretentiousness, generalization, change, assumptions, justification versus excuse, perception. Then I came across translation with Petrarch as an example on this list. And this is obviously kind of my forte, if you think about it. As I said before, I'm a writing major. And I'm not bilingual, but I do speak a little bit of French. And what's interesting about French is the fact that if you think about the influence of the French, it spans almost globally. There are many countries that France colonized, except French as a language is dying, which is a very interesting concept because regardless of the power that they had, their power today is very much diminished. A lot of people in France also speak English. A lot of people in the French colonized countries speak either their native tongue or English. French is dying as a language. And I don't think it's on the endangered language list yet, but some scholars have debated putting it on it just because it is spoken more in schools, being taught, to someone like me, than it is spoken natively, which is very interesting. That's not the topic I'm going off of today. The topic I'm going off of today, when it comes to translation, specifically in reference to someone like Petrarch is Italian, obviously. So, coming from someone who doesn't speak Italian, reading Petrarch's work is going to be very hard for me. Except you have a little thing called translations, right? When it comes to Italian, for some reason, all the authors I'm going to talk about today are Italian. That wasn't on purpose. For some reason, when it comes to these authors who speak a different language, especially the more poetic ones like Petrarch, it's hard to capture the beauty and meaning and effect of the language in a translation. And I'm going to give an example from Petrarch. I have a full book reference to it. And Petrarch, a contemporary of the better known Dante Alighieri, who I'm also going to speak about today, and also very similarly obsessed with the Catholic Church. Maybe obsessed is a bit of a stretch. This is a picture of Petrarch. But one of his great works is Canzoniere. And what's good about Canzoniere, it's a very beautiful work in Italian. The beauty does not come across in English, which is a shame because unless I go out of my way to learn Italian, I can never really understand Canzoniere. I'm going to read 90 from Canzoniere, which is sometimes she'd comb her yellow braids out loose. Sometimes she'd comb her yellow braids out loose for winds to tease and tangle in bright air, and all that light caught in her eyes, her hair. Most things have faded now, but once I used to see her gauging me with thoughtful eyes, with pity, true or false, it's all the same. My soul dry kindling, waiting for her flame, and could I help it, I was set ablaze. I tell you, she was like a goddess walking, a pulsing sun to keep a man from cold. Radiant gold, that spirit danced abroad. When she spoke, I divined the angels talking. You say she's just a woman growing old. Her bow's gone slack, her arrows on my side. Now, regardless of your perspective on poetry, on Petrarch, on if you like that poem or not, I would argue that the rhythm and language of it suffers here. I didn't really feel like a strong connection to this poem. But Canzoniere is known to be a fantastic literary work. What suffers here is essentially the fact that I do not speak Italian. I cannot get the rhythm of Italian. I cannot sense that. I cannot really understand this in this Italian way because of this language barrier. I think over time, translations, I don't know if translations can improve because there's just certain parts of the rhythmic nature of Italian that will just not be captured in English or even French, I think. I think it's just a different rhythm to the speech. And looking at a poem like Petrarch, that becomes abundantly clear because it doesn't sit right, you know? There's certain little like hiccups, I don't know if you caught them when I was trying to read it out, certain little hiccups that are just like, that kind of feels a little bit off. And it shouldn't feel that way because all of these lines were thoughtfully written by Petrarch in Italian. There's actually a paragraph here written by the editor of this book, of this collection. Petrarch was not the first to write this sonnet, and certainly not the first to make an unattainable woman the central image of a body of poems. You know, the woman with the yellow braids, which again, translation error. But he showed how supple the sonnet form could be and how richly suited Italian was to romantic poetry in the hands of a master. The canzoniere are difficult to translate into English with anything resembling the sound of Petrarch's sinuous Italian, though the reader can sometimes discover the uniquely private and passionate voice of the poet, his pride, boldness, complexity, and sensual awareness. Petrarch refuses to moralize or pass judgment. Instead, he recreates for us, with power and tenderness, the contradictions of the physical and moral world he knew. So, is my point that nothing should be translated, that you should just learn every language, you should learn 200 languages just to operate in the world and consume text? If you, I don't know, speak Spanish and you wanted to read Things Fall Apart, I don't think that you would I would have to be like, oh, you have to speak English to read Things Fall Apart. Things Fall Apart is a beautiful novel. It's a great novel, it's one of my favorites. And I think to prevent yourself from reading it just because you don't speak the language is reductive. I just think that in poetic verse, it's very hard to translate because of this very point. Italian as a language is suited to the form of the sonnet in a way that English cannot be. I'm not saying that there cannot be. I think the last video I referenced, Shall I Compare Thee to a Summer's Day, obviously written in English. But if we're looking at this, sometimes she'd comb her yellow braids out loose for winds to tease and tangle in bright air, and all that light caught in her eyes, her hair, most things have faded now, the ones I used. The rhythm in that is not captured in the same way it would be in Italian. I don't have the Italian version in front of me. I also would not be able to pronounce most of it. But my point here is there's just such a disparity between, language here that is just unattainable to really understand unless you know the language, which is a shame. I think I started making this point earlier and then I quit halfway through. I'm going to restart it. I think going forward, I think that we are only going to... I actually don't know if I think that. I think translation at this point in time is the best it's ever been, and I don't know if it's going to get much better. I don't know if we're going to improve on this translation from Italian to English. I don't know if there's going to be, in the coming years, a better translation of Canzoniere that captures what the rhythm, the meaning, the power of it. But I think that over time, the way I started this video, talking about French, how it can go from this, language built on this empire, and now it's rarely spoken natively. I think over time, and in a lot of sci-fi settings you see this, it's going to be one common language. We're going to have one language that everybody speaks, and then maybe a few languages will survive in the same way that Latin has survived, a dead language where people learn it for scholarly things. Usually in sci-fi settings, it's either English or Chinese. I do not know Chinese, so if in my lifetime we transfer to Chinese, that would be difficult for me, especially because I've heard that Chinese is very difficult to learn. I think over time what's going to happen is we're not going to put value into translation, and we're going to instead put value into standardization and make everybody speak one language, which is a sort of deculturalization, I guess, because a lot of language, and I think I talked about this at one point about Scots Gaelic in a previous video, but a lot of culture is baked into language, and to deprive people of that just for ease of access, I think is a shame. I think that Canzonieri cannot be written in English because of just the language and the cultural ties it has. I mentioned the Catholic Church. I mentioned Dante Alighieri, who I'm going to tangent into right now. I've read the Divine Comedy. I enjoy the Divine Comedy. How the Divine Comedy bridged the gap between modern day Italy to the Roman Empire, and it placed Julius Caesar in this sort of messiah position to show the value in the leadership of Italy, and to place the Catholic Church in this higher regard, as Petrarch was interested in doing as well. It included a lot of mythical figures alongside Dante's neighbors, people he knew personally in real life, and Hercules, or Helen of Troy, or Ulysses. And he changed some things. He made certain, I think Pluto was in one of the layers. Essentially, he turned Christianity into polytheism. And this is a text that's highly regarded in a lot of Catholic settings, and is very interesting and kind of changed my perspective on Catholicism. I'm still not Catholic, and I don't plan on it, but I just think that it's interesting as a text. That's my view on the Divine Comedy as a whole, and I enjoyed it, obviously, if I'm going to rave about it for that long. Except it's really hard to get through, because again, I do not speak Italian. Let's get to Dante. So, now, the Inferno, Dante's Inferno, first part of the Divine Comedy, it's written in this format of like 3-line verses, because of the importance of 3s and 9s and multiples of 3 in the story. It's a whole thing. But it's really hard to get to the language because it's so poetic. It's so poetic to a point that it becomes hard to understand because I don't know Italian, and because this is translated directly into English. Let me read a page here. To such a center from that encompassing state you long to see again, you yearn for the answer deeply, she said, and so I will tell in short. How can I come to limbo, yet feel no terror? Fear befits things with power for injury, not things that lack such power. God the Creator has by his mercy made me such that I cannot feel what you suffer. None of this fire assails me. In heaven a lady feels such pity for this impediment where I send you. Severe judgment is broken by her grace on high. To Lucy she said, your faithful follower needs you, I commend him to you. Lucy, the foe of every cruelty, found me where I sat with Rachel of old and urged me. Beatrice, true glory of God. I can't pick a page in Divine Comedy where Beatrice is mentioned. Can you come to the aid of one who has love for you? He rose above the common crowd. Do you not heed the pity of his cries? And do your eyes not see death near him? In a flood the ocean itself can boast no power to surpass. Never on earth was anyone spurred to motion so quickly to seize advantage or fly from danger. As at these words I hurried here from heaven, trusting your eloquence whose gift brings honor both to yourself and to all those who listen. Having said this, she turned toward me, the splendor of her eyes lucent with tears, which made me hasten to save you even more eagerly than before, and so I rescued on the fair mountain. And it keeps going. The point in that is Obviously, I was out of breath. I read the whole page. It's really clunky. It's really clunky, and I kind of read all that, and I don't even know if you as an audience member even understood any of what I just read. He's talking to some of the denizens of the Inferno, hell, in this part, and talking about why he doesn't think he should go there. Then he's told about Beatrice, and his eyes light up, and he's like, wow, well, I gotta do it now. So, yeah, which is a common thing that happens in the story. But this is very clunky, and the most important part of the Divine Comedy is the beauty of the language, and I missed that reading it. I still enjoyed it, and I still found it very interesting and what it meant for the cosmology of Christianity, but I missed a crucial part of this story, just because I don't know Italian. Is that a bad thing? No, it's just interesting how much and how little translations can capture. I don't really have a grand point about this. I just wanted to show examples of Petrarch and Dante Alighieri. I keep pronouncing his last name wrong. Alighieri. Alighieri. I just wanted to show sort of my thoughts on that, because in general, I think that it's very important to read these texts. I think more so Divine Comedy than Canzonieri, just because I wasn't able to enjoy that much of Canzonieri. I think that, yeah, it's just, I guess my message in this video is learn other languages, experience the grander world, because in not doing so, you shut yourself off from what you can perceive, because what is translated is not the full picture. You're just getting a snippet of it. And I think it's much more powerful to experience the whole thing. What are your thoughts on translations? Is there a language that you can speak fluently, that you've read texts in, that you feel like would not be able to be translated? If you only read Things Fall Apart in Igbo, how did that feel for you? Was that a good translation? I think that there are good translations. I think that it is possible. It's just with these two examples that for some reason are both Italian, are not good examples. Neither of them really contributed much of anything. And I think that both of them sort of were lackluster in their delivery of the point of the pieces. That's really all I have to say. I'm sort of rambling on at this point, talking myself in circles. But yeah, let me know your thoughts down below. I'm probably going to cut out a lot of this end part because I've repeated myself a lot and I'm losing steam. But anyway, that's all from me. So until next time, adieu.